Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hello, everyone. Really glad you're here today.
We're thrilled to be here today where we're going to be sharing a workflow and some done for you resources to help you stay on top of your list hygiene and list maintenance. What we're going to be talking about today is really going to be focused on making sure that the list that you're building is one that stays highly engaged and healthy, and show you ways that you can re-engage subscribers in a way that keeps them engaged and, of course, doesn't lose them to unsubscribes wherever possible, so that as you are building your list long term, you really are making the most of the opportunities that are there. Again, welcome, you guys. Excited to have you here. Come over and say hello in the chat. Thrilled to have you. We do offer this call every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time, and it's an opportunity for you to learn how to make better use rather, out of your AttractWell system. And of course, for anyone who is unfamiliar with AttractWell, it's a great way to kind of get to know some of the features that we have and ways that you can use us. So today I've got a training prepared for you. We've got some demos that we're going to share as well. But before we get into that, we have a really exciting feature announcement that we haven't talked about yet. We actually just recently underwent a really cool change in the platform that I probably couldn't really speak to eloquently. Greg could, and I'm going to be kicking it over him in just a moment. But this is a feature that really meets a lot of requests that we have seen over many years. And it is now possible to manage more than one domain or have more than one domain attached to your AttractWell account. So, Greg, tell us more about this and let us see what you've done.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Ashley. I'll share out my screen here. But yeah, so on, I think it was Sunday night of this week, we underwent basically migrated from some older servers to some newer servers, which gave us a number of different capabilities, including the ability to self-manage domains like in the past, which has been great. And people, everyone loves like that we can help them out with their domain. You had to email support and we'd work through getting the domain all connected up because we'd have to do a lot of manual work on our end. Well, now there's a domain manager where you can do that yourself, and you can connect more than one domain, which is pretty awesome. So on your dashboard, on the AttractWell dashboard, there's a setup domains link. It's also under admin website domains, either one of those links, or not admin, but my account website domains. You'll get a page that looks like this. If you don't have a domain on there, obviously you have to make one or add one in there. But so yeah, let's do all kinds of cool things. This is actually our live AttractWell account, so I'm not going to make any changes to it, but I'll show you kind of what we can do with it. So if you want to add another domain, you just click the Connect Domain button over here. It'll ask you I don't know, just pick some random thing here. It'll tell you, okay, this is what you need to do. Answer the questions. It'll give you the DNS records that you need to do. Make the changes and hit connect, and then it will just connect it, assuming all the DNS records are there, which we can help with, by the way, if the thought of DNS scares you. That's something we very familiar with. And if you have a domain on, I think it's like Squarespace, GoDaddy, Wix, Namecheap, I think those are the four off the top of my head. They allow you to give us access to your domains so we can make the changes for you. And then you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. But you can contact support if you need any help. But basically, it allows you to connect a domain on your own, which, by itself, that's not the really cool part is that you can have more than one. Depends on your plan. This plan here has 25, but each domain can then have its own homepage as well as its own menu. So you can, and also another feature that if you're kind of into this thing, or maybe you're setting up email or such, if your domain is managed fully by us, or you just have your name servers pointed at us, those are kind of a technical thing. So if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. But if you do, you can change when I don't have this one set up, but there's a button here that allows you to edit the DNS records right from within here. So you don't have to email us anymore to make a change. If you've got something, because like if you get Google Workspace, they require you to like, here, add this DNS record. Well, you can just go do that through this control panel pretty easily now. But you can also, the cool part really on our end, aside from that, is you can change the destination. So change the destination, and there's a whole lineup of options that you can choose for what appears on that domain. So you can, just have it to the default website, which is what it defaults to. If you connect another domain, it's just going to be a duplicate of what you have there, which is probably not what you want, but it's just, it's a way to show that it's up and running. You can choose a different page. You can choose it to show your member area, your blog, events page, the store, or you can have it be a forwarding URL. So there's services now, if you have let's say you bought your domain on GoDaddy or Namecheap or whatnot, there you can do forwarding through them. One of the cool things through this is this is kind of a technical thing, but it's like secure forwarding. More and more browsers are requiring the little, you can't see it here, but like HTTPS in there, which means it's secure with, if it's got the little S in there. A lot of them are showing warnings now if there's not the little S in there. Well, this allows you to do the secure forwarding. So you can just set that up, and there's some other options here. Anyway, there's some advanced, kind of some advanced features in here if you want to forward. This is really nice if you're transitioning domains. We get this question, or this comes up a lot. People are rebranding. They found a better domain name. The domain name they wanted comes up for sale, whatever, and they want to switch their site from one to the other. Well, now it's really simple. You connect your other domain, connect your new domain, which will automatically be set up to the same homepage as you had before. And then you just come in here and change your old domain to forward to the new one. And then it's all set up. Really no extra hassle. It's super simple to get it all connected. So, and once you do that, once you have more than one domain in here, this account does not have that. But when you get into editing the website menu over here, there will be, oh, I guess this one does have it. It kind of shows you, I don't know if you can see this little drop down, but there is a way then to pick and edit the domain specifically for that site. So they all kind of use the default menu if you don't have that one, if you don't have one set up for that domain. But you can also specifically set one up for a subdomain, or not a subdomain, but another domain on there. So you can have a completely different menu and a completely different homepage, which allows you a whole variety of different options. So we'll probably be adding to these capabilities over time, because there's, a few different things like some people have had questions like, okay, how are the capacities different? You still have the same overall like plan capacity. You have however many vaults you have, or classes, or pages, or whatever. But those are just kind of spread across all the domains now. So, but anyway, if you have any questions about that, certainly you can email in to support or pop a question in the Facebook group or something. But a really super exciting option that it's been actually 22 months since we started on this project. And I was very happy to see it go out. So it was fun to see that go out the other day, and now you can change all this. And of course, if you want us to do it all for you, we can still do that. A lot of people are just love to get it in there and get it connected up, and at 2 o'clock in the morning whenever they're working. So it's just good to get it out of the way sometimes. But if you want our help, we're more than absolutely happy to help with that. So hopefully this will be useful for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Greg. And yeah, this is such a huge relief for anybody who is maybe making transitions between, one brand or, maybe one platform, coming from somewhere else to here, or if you even wanted to brand a particular offering that you have, if you've got kind of, competing interests, but you want to be able to kind of manage your list in the same place, you now have that ability to have everything all in one place, truly, in terms of like how you manage your entire web presence. And also, I should add, just as a sort of a little add-on to this, is with the new email template base builder, you can also control the domains that you're sending from, right? So you could have basically 2 different entire business identities you run from AttractWell now, which was not possible before. So huge change, and a lot of work on Greg's part. So thank you. All right, so let's get into today's training. We'll come back and join you guys on video here in just a bit. Always something exciting and new to share here. Let's talk about a inarguably kind of a boring topic, but a really necessary one. This is sort of an eat your broccoli thing, guys. It's really important that we are showing up on a very consistent basis with the list that we are building. And it is also important that we perform certain maintenance steps with that list on a consistent basis as well. Because for whatever reason, no matter how good you may be with the content that you're sending, or how relevant you might have been to the person who engaged with you previously to join your list, at some point, people will fall off, right? And obviously, we want to retain as many as possible, but we want to make sure that we aren't consistently sending lots of emails to a bunch of people who aren't opening, right? And a lot of people will just like ignore and not opt out. So let's talk about what this looks like here today. And we're going to cover, like I mentioned, some resources and a workflow that you can follow on a quarterly basis. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is why engagement naturally declines, what it means for your business, We'll talk about how to spot disengagement early without tanking deliverability. And we'll cover some simple, repeatable steps that you can use to re-engage and clean your list on a regular basis. I'm recommending quarterly here. You could do this maybe once or twice a year as well, depending on the size of your list. If you have, if your list is in the tens of thousands, then you are going to want to do this, I believe, on a quarterly basis. But if you've got a smaller list, you can kind of ramp up to that as needed. We'll talk about how consistent list hygiene keeps your messages reaching the right people. And of course, as always, we'll get into live help and Q&A. So if you do have questions, whether it's pertaining to this topic or something else entirely, feel free to add those to the Q&A as we are here live on the call. This is an opportunity for us to work together to get your questions answered. And of course, we've got Greg here in the chat and in the Q&A as well as we're going through as I'm going through the training, so he can he can answer questions as well. If you are joining us as a replay, if you're watching this as a replay, go to attractwell.com/office hours so that you can join us on Zoom. We're live every week, every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time, and it's totally free, whether you are an AttractWell user or not. If you'd like to work together and you're a member of our community, you can go to attractwell.com/work review. We saved the second half of these Thursday calls to work together with anyone in the community who needs help in their AttractWell account, whether that's review, getting hands-on, troubleshooting, strategizing, whatever that looks like. It is totally free and open to whoever would like to take advantage of the space that we provide weekly. And if you would like to get a quote and have someone handle the work for you, you can do that. Attractwell.com/concierge. Our team can design, they can set up, they can migrate, all kinds of great stuff that might be useful to you. So go check them out. All right, so today let's talk about our list, why it might go a little quiet. So the fact is, no matter how, talented of a writer you might be or how relevant your information might have been to the person who opted in at some point in the past, even those strong relationships can fade without relevance or good timing. And people's interests, of course, inevitably change. Their inbox habits can change as well. And really just so very, very important, inconsistent contact will train subscribers to ignore the messages we send in the future, right? This is, I've underlined it here for emphasis, this is the most likely culprit the majority of the time when we have a list that is not engaged, right? So if we are not mailing, say, weekly, for instance, or we have set an expectation that we mail less frequently, and we are maybe, if people know that they can expect us monthly and we routinely show up monthly, they'll come to look forward to hearing from us monthly. But if we're just an every now and then, they're not going to pay attention, right? This is the number one reason lists go quiet and efforts fall flat. It is the lack of consistency, right? So what happens when you ignore this factor, right? So deliverability is going to drop for you when too many disengaged contacts stay on your list. So if you're sending to 100 people and consistently only 20 of those people ever open your email, that can impact your deliverability. If the numbers are even less than that, out of 100, then you really can start to suffer. We have, and it is about as muddy as SEO is in terms of being able to put your finger on exactly what the criteria are. But email service providers do kind of score or rank the people who are sending emails to their users, right? So you have people on your list, a bunch of them use Gmail or Yahoo or whatever. Those companies definitely recognize you, know who you are, and know, kind of what these numbers look like, right? And so you can kind of slowly fade your way into the promotions or worse, into the spam folder if you have too many people on your list that are clearly not engaging, because there are no signs of feedback showing that the people that are receiving messages from you actually want them, right? So the higher engagement numbers you can get on your list, the better off you are. And it really does benefit you to have a smaller list that is more highly engaged than to have a large one where you don't have as much engagement. So those inconsistent open and click rates are going to confuse your sender reputation, and you lose real opportunities hiding inside of a quiet list. So, getting back to this point, quality over quantity, that smaller active list is always going to outperform a large silent one. That's in terms of deliverability and reputation, and in terms of the resources you have to expend, right? Your plan level in AttractWell is tied significantly to the size of your contact file, right? Like this is something, and you get a great deal with us. I mean, you go somewhere like HubSpot, and it's exorbitant fees for having a larger list. You're also using marketing credits when you mail your list, and every marketing credit you get, a certain number per month, et cetera. You are spending that, right? So it does matter. There are resources being spent, so it's better to spend those on those who are actually engaging with us. And that healthy engagement improves our inbox placement and our response rates. So I want you to think of list size as a measure of connection and not vanity. It's not like looking at social media and seeing that somebody has, however many million or hundreds of thousands of followers. Those were just people who clicked like once. That doesn't mean that a million people see what that person says every time they post something, right? And it is true, even if we do have a highly engaged list, the likelihood that 100% of everyone is going to open every email we send is low, right? Like that's not generally how that works. People are busy, things are going on with them. But what we really want is to have a list that has a significantly high open and click-through response rate and not be worried quite so much about the size of the list itself. If we can scale good engagement up, that's what we want, right? We do want more opportunity. We do ultimately want a larger list and following, but quality is really what we're looking for here in terms of who we're adding. So, in terms of list hygiene, we want to make sure that we're checking our engagement at least on a quarterly basis and then tag and segment by activity, not assumption, right? So, there are some steps that we can perform inside of AttractWell to ascertain who is not clicking, who is not active, right? And to be able to take action on those folks specifically. And what we can do is then remove or stop sending to contacts who haven't interacted in 90, this would be on the lower end, or 120 days or more, right? So people who are not engaging with us for months, we want to go ahead and move them off of our list, or as I'll show you today, maybe send them a message that reminds them that we're still here and lets them know that we would like for them to stick around if they'd like to. So in terms of spotting disengagement early, you want to make sure that you're routinely checking your open and click-through rates on the messages that you send. And what we're going to do here is look at delivery statistics on broadcasts in AttractWell and campaign stats for campaigns. Now, really quickly, let me just show you where this information lives in AttractWell. So if I go into campaigns, and this is a dummy account, by the way, I can go over here and click stats. And I can see the number of contacts, who opened, who clicked, total number of clicks, and the percentages. These are the percentages I want you to be paying attention to. Percentage who opened, and provided that the message was one that had a call to action that was click through, you would be looking at contacts who clicked, right? So these percentages are some of the most important you can track. The open rate is going to be pretty critical. That, implies that someone is actually opening and reading the message that you're sending. You can also use these statistics to kind of give you some insight toward how you might modify messages in a campaign series. Obviously, this is a single campaign or a single message campaign. Here's one where we could maybe look. Actually, this one hasn't been sent. Here's one with 3 messages. Perfect. So yeah, you can actually kind of maybe compare against the different ones. Obviously, this one was never actually sent. So that's in campaigns. You can look at stats there. And if we go over to our dashboard, and back to messages, you can see the messages that were sent previously. And here's that delivery statistic there. You can actually see percentage delivered. So this is where you can actually get an idea as to whether or not you've got messages that are addresses, contact addresses that are undeliverable. In this case, everyone was deliverable. We could see 33% or a third of this list actually opened the email. That's pretty good by industry standards for people who send bulk emails. And then in terms of the number of people who clicked, this is really only going to be important again, based on whether or not you have an actionable call to action, right? So click here. right? And you can kind of click through and see all the information here. These will often be hyperlinked, so you can actually see who the messages was delivered to, who opened, and you can go to the contacts who opened here as well. So that's where you can actually go take a look at the messages that are being sent. And just because I did mention this previously, let me also show you. If you go to your contacts and you click filters, there is also a way here under more filters to search for contacts who were inactive in a certain amount of time. So 90 days would be a starting point. You could certainly go higher than this. It really just kind of depends on how you run your business and what communication cycles with you look like, right? So if you only run a launch maybe once or twice a year, then I would probably do something more like 120 days. I would filter here for these contacts and then take actions, which I'll be talking about here in just a bit. So you do have the ability in AttractWell to filter for those folks as well, to actually see who is truly disengaged, right? Or maybe in those cases, the person's not disengaged, maybe their emails aren't being delivered. And that's something that if they are someone who you're connected to otherwise, you can maybe look and troubleshoot. All right. So the spear approach is what we're going to use. So I just showed you how to filter for people who haven't engaged with you at all in 120 days. What we want to do is send an invitation to them via a message that you may have seen one of these before. If you're on a list with someone who has good list hygiene practices, they may send an email that says something to the effect of, "Is this goodbye?" Right? And when they receive that, when you receive rather, that "is this goodbye" message, they're going to say something to the effect of, "Hey, I've been sending you stuff, but I don't know. It seems like you're not getting it. And I'd love to keep you around, but maybe you don't want to stick around. And I don't want to send you stuff if you don't want it." Right? That's kind of what we're getting at. So, what I would encourage you to do, just in a big picture here, a big picture approach, is to make sure that you're using an initial nurture campaign when you get a new lead, right? To foster engagement. And then you could also send as an occasional one-off or less engaged leads on your list, right? So what I'm saying here is that it's very important when you first bring someone onto your list to start building the expectation and the feedback, the positive feedback loop of them opening the emails that you send, reading them, and doing something, right? But when we start getting to a segment of our list that is not responding to those things, then we want to send a spear message. And a spear message is something that is short, specific, and expecting a response. So you're just going to write a simple email along the lines of what I just, kind of articulated to you guys as an example, right? Like where you maybe haven't engaged with someone's emails and they send an "is this goodbye" type message. So you would write this email and it would not be cute. It would not be pretty. I would not use the email block builder for this. It would just be simple, like you're writing to a colleague or a friend, right? And you'd use, again, nothing fancy. Use their contact tag so it's clear that it's for them, and then ask a direct question that assumes a reply, right? Including the language, "hit reply." Right, this is what Spear is. Now, you can use a click for this purpose, and this is something that you might choose to do if you have a much larger list that you're managing. If you have a list in the hundreds, then I would use this "hit reply" language. If you have a list that's in the thousands, I might encourage you to stick with what I'm sharing with our resources today, where you're utilizing an automation. All right, so as an example here, we would send a subject line, "Do you still need help with," whatever the topic is. And this should pertain to whatever that person signed up for your list with interest in, or it might, pertain to the primary thing that you talk about with your list. So you ask, "Hey, do you still need help with this thing?" And in the body, we address them by name and we say, "Hey, a while back you got in touch about whatever that thing is. Do you still need help with that? Hit reply and let me know." Right? If you are someone who has conversations with leads before they start working with you, if that fits into the scale of your model of what you sell, this is a fantastic way to get people into a buying conversation really quickly. I actually really like putting something like this at the end of an initial nurture campaign if someone didn't convert onto the second step or sort of next level in the funnel. And then you just do a simple sign off, talk soon, assuming you're going to hear from them, and your name, right? So let's talk about what it looks like to re-engage. So whether you've gone silent or they've stopped opening emails that you send, if you're sending regularly, we want to acknowledge the silence without the guilt, right? We want to be kind here, but be direct enough. We want to remind them of what kind of value you provide and offer a simple way for them to stay connected to you. So here's an example. If their engagement dropped, meaning you're sending regularly, they stopped opening. So what we say here is, "How have you been?" Right? And then in the body, we say, "Hey," again, addressing them directly. "A while back, you got in touch about whatever the problem or goal was. I haven't seen you around in a while. Wanted to check in and see how things are going. I've got a few new resources available since the last time we connected. Maybe mention a thing, and you can say, 'This thing in particular might be helpful for you. Do you want me to send it your way?'" And again, what we are doing is we are allowing people to self-select, right? So if you send this to somebody and they don't respond, then you're going to know that that's somebody that you maybe can stop sending messages to, right? And of course, if they respond, then you've got someone active. They will no longer, because they have opened your email and responded to you or clicked a link in it, then the system recognizes that as activity and they are no longer going to show up on an inactive search like I showed you earlier. Again, assume they're going to reply by saying talk soon, pop your name in there. Now, if you stop sending, this is one that we might need to send every now and again if we drop the ball in our communication patterns. So we call out the elephant in the room, however you wish. I'm leaving this blank here because this is going to kind of depend pretty succinctly on who you are and who you're talking to. So you could be cheeky and say something like, "Remember me." You could also put a regarding and then whatever the topic was that they might have signed up to learn about. But here again, you can say, "A while back, we connected about problem or goal, or we met at an event." And you say, "It's been a bit since you've heard from me, but things are back in full swing, and I want to make sure I'm only sending you what you want to hear." Sorry, I don't know why that's missing here. Um, would love to hear from you. Talk soon, right? And your name. So that's, just kind of a gist of what we're doing here. The first option, of course, is to make sure that you always have a spirit email included in your initial nurture campaign at the very end, right? Especially if you're following, say, like in the client funnel challenge, we go over the strategy of setting up the initial nurture campaign such that the campaign is working to move them off of that campaign and onto the next one, where they are better positioned to receive your sales offers, right? But if they don't make it to that second stage of your funnel, then we want to be able to grab them, right? And that's what that spear is all about. And then, of course, if someone's been on your list for some time, you've got option A or option B. One is, "Hey, noticed you haven't been opening my emails." And the other is, "Hey, sorry, I haven't been emailing you," is basically the gist. All right, so quarterly list maintenance is fairly simple, but we need to make sure that we're doing it. Most of us aren't. So we need to do this because it keeps our list fresh and trustworthy, and you avoid massive cleanups that you might find yourself having to deal with down the line that impact your deliverability. So these small, consistent steps build predictable engagement for you. And the workflow is pretty simple. You're going to filter your lists, excluding your active client tags for 90 to 120-day activity, right? Again, that's real simple to what I showed you before. I actually didn't show that additional filter. So if I go back here to filters, and I'm going to exclude client tags because I don't want to lose. So if somebody has paid for something from you in the past, I would go ahead and put whatever tags that apply to those clients right here, right? So if they've purchased from you, I would not kick buyers off of your list, right? I want to make sure that's super clear. Don't kick a buyer off of your list. So anything that indicates client, current or previous, put those tags here under exclude tags. So if I could maybe find another, maybe I've got like a program or something. Um, yeah, here is someone who was a part of my paid workshop, right? Any client tags, put those under exclude. Go over here to more filters. Contact was inactive in the last 120 days. Filter those. Excellent. So now we've got our list. So that's the first step. for this process is identifying who is not a client, who has not been opening our emails, logging into the member area, or any of that kind of thing for the last 90 to 120 days. And then we're going to use an automation to move those people from our general mailing list because, again, they're taking up space there and dragging us down because they're not opening what we're sending, right? So we're going to move them from our general mailing list to our inactive list, right? And it's going to also apply a campaign that invites them to re-engage with us. So let's go take a look at these resources and we'll walk through the rest of the process here. Now, I do outline this here in this resource bundle, and this did go out via email before the call today. It will be linked in the description on YouTube, and I'm going to pop this into the chat right now as well if you're following along live. But what you're going to do is go ahead and claim this resource bundle. And there's a few resources that are in here. So there's an automation that's going to change the tag on this contact. Now, that's the first thing that we want to take a look at here is this automation. So let's take a look at that here real quick. Your general mailing list tag might not be called general mailing list, right? So the first thing I want you to do is go in and whatever tag you use for your general mailing list, I want you to remove this one if that's not the tag you use. And I want you to add the tag, or sorry, remove rather. So what I want you to do is here, you're going to go add action to remove your general mailing list tag. So maybe yours is called newsletter. I'm going to click that. So we're going to remove whatever, again, the list that you mail to every week, right? Your regular general mailing list. We want to remove them from that. And then we want to add this tag inactive because we're going to use that before we actually get rid of the inactive people. Okay, so that's our first step in modifying these resources. So make sure that we are doing a tag swap, adding one, removing the other, and make sure that these accurately reflect this one accurately reflects the tag that you use for your list. Now, the next thing that we want to do is check out this campaign that's going to be sent. And you can see that that's linked right here in the automation as well. So we can actually just click that to open it up and view it. Now, I've put an email in here. You're going to want to edit this so that it reflects you, your voice, your business, etc. So here I'm saying, is this goodbye in the subject line? And this is a really simple email. And it says, hey, so and so, every week I share tips and insights to help people like you solve a problem, achieve a goal, reach a milestone. For a while now, it looks like you haven't been opening what we send. No biggie. I get it. Life is busy. If your inbox is anything like mine, it's easy for things to get lost in the mix. I want to make sure that we're only sending you things you want. So you're excited to see my name pop up each week. If you'd like to make sure you continue receiving this content, click here and I'll make sure you stay on the list. Okay, so this, if we go and we take a look at this, this is an automation. This is a reactivate inactive lead. Now, going back to our resource bundle, there is one more automation here. So there's our inactive leads automation, and then we have this reactivate inactive lead automation. What I want you to do here is make sure, again, if your general mailing list tag is not called general mailing list, I want you to, in this case, add the tag. So add newsletter. Okay. So just a quick recap here. I'm going to save this so this is correct. Here's what's happening. All right. We're filtering our lists for people who are inactive, right? Non-clients who haven't responded to anything in 3 or 4 months, right? We're applying an automation that removes our general mailing list tag, adds an inactive tag, and adds this campaign that says, is this goodbye? There is a link in that campaign message that is going to reapply your general mailing list tag if they click it. All right? Does that make sense? They click the link that's in that email. They are no longer considered inactive. With that tag, they are put back onto your general mailing list and you're good to go. Okay? There is one more thing that I do want to show you in this automation where we reactivate them. Under advanced options here, we are sending them to this page that says preferences updated confirmation page. If you have a version of this that you prefer to use, swap that out here. But we could also take a quick look and you can actually see the page that we've provided you. It's very, very simple. All you need to do is make some adjustments. This can take them to home, to blog, or to the contact pop-up. But you will want to edit this page to put your own photo or logo here. Or of course, if you have a preferences updated page that you are already using, then you can connect that as well. And again, that is going to be connected to the reactivate inactive lead automation. Okay. So going back to our steps here, again, we're filtering for our people. We're going to apply this automation to those people, right? That campaign is going to invite the contact to click through and stay on the list. So anybody who opens and clicks, they are not at risk for being removed from your list, right? That call to action link is an automation that's going to add them back to your mailing list using the tag. And then that inactive list, what we can do with those people after a period of time. And so let's just say you apply this campaign, you send this out. You want to wait maybe 3 or 4 days after you have run this operation. You're only going to need to do this, a few times a year at most. We are going to opt those people out of email. Or you may choose to remove them from your list entirely. So coming back over here, let's talk about what that looks like. All right, now first, again, making sure that I have edited the resources that are in this bundle, right? So my inactive leads automation is going to remove my general mailing list tag, right? So make sure that your general mailing list tag is included in this automation, right? So general mailing list right here is the one that I'm using. Yours may be something different. Edit the campaign so that it says what you want it to say. You don't have to change this automation link because I've given you the automation. It's already linked up here. You just change what you're saying. And then you want to also edit that reactivate automation to make sure that your general mailing list tag that reflects your actual one that you use is here, that it adds that one, removes inactive, and then sends them to that preferences updated confirmation page when they click the link in that message, right? So when they say, no, no, keep me here, it's going to remove inactive, tag with your general mailing list, and then send them to a confirmation page, right? So those are all the resources. Let's actually go through and apply this process here. Although I do think I need to change this here real quick because it's not correct. So I'm going to go add action here, and I'm going to remove the tag newsletter because I didn't finish doing that before. Okay. Now that I've got everything completed there to my liking, what I'm going to do here is go into my contacts. I've already run my filter. Remember, exclude your client tags, current and previous. Anyone who's purchased from you, anyone who's currently working with you. Go to more filters. Contact was inactive in the last 120 days. Filter for those. And then under actions, we're going to do a bulk contact action. And then we are going to apply that inactive lead automation. Inactive leads. Apply. Now, all of these leads, when I refresh this page, they all have this inactive tag now. And now I don't have to go through and do anything with this yet. And after 3 or 4 days, so all of these people would have been sent that inactive lead message, right? Now, if they decide that they do want to stick around, this inactive tag goes away. So after 3 or 4 days, I'm actually going to come back into AttractWell. I'm going to go to my contacts. I am going to filter my tags, and I'm going to find inactive. I'm going to click filter. And then I can take a couple of different actions, right? So what I can do here is I can do a bulk contact action here. I can bulk delete these contacts if I want, but I could also maybe apply an automation that opts them all out of mail, right? And that would be an automation that you could apply right here. So you've got a number of different options there that you can pursue, right? So you're going to give them a couple of days to receive the message, that invitation to whether or not they want to stick around on your list, and then you can decide at that point whether or not you want to just shift them over to not being someone that you ever mail, or if you want to remove them from your list, right? And that's, again, it's a pretty simple process, and you can just take that same automation, run those same filters, and do that once a quarter. So you could just create like a calendar event for yourself, twice a year, maybe 4 times a year. You go through and you run this process, and you'll always have people who are actually opening your emails on your list, and anyone who is not, you can let go, right? And it can feel a little difficult to do, especially if you've worked really hard to build your list over a period of time. It is a little disheartening sometimes to see numbers drop, right? If you are concerned about that, make the filter for the inactive period of time a little bit longer, right? Instead of 4 months, make it 6, right? So whatever the interval is that you're choosing to run this process, make the number of days that you're filtering for inactive time, make it go along with that, right? So instead of how, 365 divided by 2, make the number inactive in that number of days, and then just do this, once a year. You want to do that. All right. Let's get into some questions here. If you guys, if anybody wants to actually look at anything together today, there is space for that. I didn't have anyone sign up for a live review, so feel free to let me know. And of course, if you want to have any of this clarified, you can ask as well. Nandy says, I would like to know if there's a way for a new subscriber to opt in for multiple options. Yeah, absolutely. And we actually just did a training on this recently. And let me see. Let me actually show you where I'm going to locate this answer so that you could always find it if you like. So if you go here to the Success Academy from your AttractWell dashboard and head over here to where it says live training and replays, I'm typing in the word preferences right now because I know that that was a keyword that we used. Yeah, here we go. These are communication preferences. We did this a couple months ago. And what I walked through in this training was how to, let me go over to the blog because I can't remember if I had a resource bundle for this or not. I do. Yeah, there's a resource bundle in here where there's an actual page that you can set up to where you can they can say, I want email messages from you, I want text, I want either or, I want both. I like snail mail. But then you could also use like I'm interested in and have them select those things. And then the automations there will tag them or apply a campaign to them or something like that if you'd like. So I'm going to pop this right in here. And let me come back over here and I do want to show you just how simple it is. All this is a modification of a page form. So let me find something that I've titled landing so we can work this out a little more readily. Here we go. So here's the blog landing page. So if you want to subscribe to the blog, this would be the page that you send people to. They're going to be filling out a form. We look at the published version of this. So they're simply putting in their name and email. Now you could go in and say, I want to maybe segment my list so that I know they're interested in particular things. So we could just simply add a field here and we could say, I am interested in, and you could use a pick multiple option if you just want to tag them. And so you would go over here to edit list, and here would be option A, option B, option C, option D. And then we would be applying a tag A, tag B, tag C, and tag D. Now, if you wanted to send them something, right? So let me actually just go back and show you what this looks like now. I am interested in these things, and they can select more than one thing. I would not use automated communication based on this because this can be overwhelming for their inbox. So you have the other option, which would be to select one. right? So if I go list pick one, and here under past actions, I am going to still tag, but I'm going to maybe add campaign A, campaign B, campaign C, etc. So if this is about topic A, maybe I have a drip campaign or a freebie that's based on topic A, but they can only pick A, B, C, or D. And I repeat this process, right? So I have a campaign with a resource for topic B, for C, for D. But then once they are here on this page and they want to select something, it is only going to allow them to pick one. And then their communications that take place after that, so the campaign that's delivered, would be specific to whatever you've connected here. So that would be a couple of ways to deal with that. And thank you for that great question, Andy. Erica says, I have opt-outs on my list, but I have left them there in case they message again or opt in. Should they be deleted? It kind of depends on the nature of the lead. I would say if you are somebody who does a lot of in-person work, or if these are leads that you would have had communications with, um, I would still consider following something similar to what I've shared here today, because people are if they are on your list and you're sending regularly and they're not opening, they've either acknowledged to themselves that they don't need what they believe that you're offering anymore, and they just are, you're just in their promotions folder, or they're ignoring you or what have you. Um, or, they're just busy and they've missed what you've sent them for whatever reason. So I would definitely at least make some kind of overture to say, you know, hey, remember me? Right? And if you do that, then that gives the people who really are interested in engaging with you into the future an opportunity to say something. And they'll be grateful for it too, because a lot of times people are, what's the best way to put this? It's just non-confrontational, right? And so maybe they would feel bad, right, about making some decision or another that would make you feel rejected or what have you, right? Like some people are like that, especially if you're doing more energetically sensitive work. And so you showing up and saying, "Hey, I noticed that you're not engaging with the stuff that I'm sending." And it's really important to me that I'm only sending you what you want. So, I mean, is this something that you want to go ahead and hit pause on this for now? And you could just ask them. If you are concerned at all about this, and again, especially, if there's someone that you may have spoken to, maybe send a message that says, hey, doing some cleanup around here. I'd love to keep you around if you're interested. Let them say, oh, no, no, I'm still interested. I've been busy. Give them that opportunity for sure. So this doesn't have to be some hard and fast, I'm only treating people on my list like numbers situation. I have provided you with a scalable solution that doesn't really, take into account the more conversational ways to approach this. But that is still a very valid approach, right? Where you could, filter for people who have been inactive for the last 4 months, send a message out to those people, skip all this other stuff I talked about today, and obviously engage with anybody who responds. But they're also going to be updated on your list if somebody opens an "is this goodbye" message. Like they're no longer going to be considered inactive in your system because the system knows they opened an email, right? So that's also a way to just kind of wake them back up. So you don't have to go through the entire process if you're concerned about that. And yeah, I do think in some cases, depending on the work that you do, I know you work with fertility, for instance, Erica, that's not something that, beyond a certain point in a woman's life, maybe if that's the only thing that you're talking about, maybe goodbye is okay, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be an impersonal one. So it just kind of depends. Yeah, so floor is open if anybody wants to go over anything together, if you're interested in a use case or you want to explore a project that you're working on in your system. We have a little bit more time here on the call, and I would be thrilled to help you guys with that. But just remember with what we're talking about here today, the big picture, like a healthy list means that you've got better reach, you've got better data, you've got better sales. And the thing that protects this for you is going to be consistency, right? That builds your reputation, and it builds the confidence that others have in you when you ultimately ask them to make a move, right? To click a link or to purchase, right? So it is better to have something that is small and active in terms of a list than a sleepy large one. It is better to have that culled down. And if you are going through the process of kind of following these maintenance steps at least once or twice a year, you're going to be in a much better position than you would have otherwise. And again, this is a useful set of steps to follow, even if you've got a teeny tiny baby list, right? So if you are mailing consistently and you're not getting opens, then this is something for you, really, for anyone. All right. Well, if we don't have any work requests, we're going to go be on our way. We do have another training coming up next week. Then we'll be off the week after that for Thanksgiving here in the US. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are staying warm. If you are seeing the leaves change, they're so pretty. It's my favorite time of year. I hope you guys are having a great time with all of that, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We will again be back here same time next week. 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. Till then, you guys, I hope you have a fantastic week. Take care.